How heartless, and also how extraordinary that the Secretary of State is more discomforted by being presented with the facts.
And she is no friend of farming. 12,000 farms went bust on their watch.
How is Victoria Atkins the most heartless politician today? Well, if not ever. Who knows? What I mean is, they say in life, there are certain lines you just don't even cross, even in politics. Well, on Thursday's topical questions for environment, food and rural affairs, the Shadow Secretary Victoria Atkins had received a story about a tragedy. Now she had to decide whether to use it as a weapon to beat the newly elected government with. Well, did she? Oh, you bet your bottom dollar she did.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Speaker, and to everyone in the House, particularly also to our farming, food, hospitality and water sectors this Christmas. But not everyone will be able to celebrate Christmas. In recent weeks, a farmer took himself off to a remote part of his farm and killed himself. The message he left his family, who wished to remain anonymous, is that he did this because he feared becoming a financial burden to his family because of changes to inheritance tax. This is the human cost of the figures that the Secretary of State provides so casually. What does the Secretary of State say to that grieving family?
Secretary of State.
I send my heartfelt sympathies to that family, but I think it is irresponsible in the extreme to seek to weaponise a personal tragedy of that kind in this way. Where there is mental ill health, then there needs to be support for that, and this government is investing in it. She knows from the last year for which data is available that the vast majority of claimants will pay absolutely nothing following the changes to APR.
Victoria Atkins.
How heartless, and also how extraordinary that the Secretary of State is more discomforted by being presented with the facts of the consequences of his policy than the reality of what this policy ensures. I can say, Mr. Speaker, I was a minister for 7.5 years. I've never, ever seen a policy have the consequences that this one has. But we know that there is a tragically, and they are now, members of the public will see the members opposite reacting in that way because I've dared to present the facts to them. We know that there is a tragically high suicide rate amongst the farming community. The NFU gave evidence about this. The Secretary of State has been told repeatedly. Will he collect data on a monthly basis of suicides from farmers, farming families, landowners and family businesses, so that we, the House and the outside community, can understand the costs of this tax policy before it comes into force?
Mental health services are the responsibility of the National Health Service, and the former Health Secretary who broke the NHS is in no position to lecture anybody about public services. She was no friend of the health services, no friend of the mental health services, and she is no friend of farming. 12,000 farms went bust on their watch. They failed to get £300,000 out of the doors and into the pockets and bank accounts of farmers, and they signed a trade deal with Australia that undercut British farmers on environmental and welfare standards. I hear the posturing. It is this government that is standing up for farming.
Not all farmers will agree with you, Steve. Also, Samaritan's number is in the description box below if you're affected by anything in this topic and this video. But I do agree with him on one thing. This was clearly a severe mental health issue, wasn't it? Also, you don't just decide to end everything just a whim, do you? It's a slow drip feed, isn't it? And as someone who did suffer terribly with mental health issues for years and years, there's always a straw that breaks the camel's back, isn't there? I had mine, but luckily I didn't succeed and go any further. And to be honest, I'm glad I did, because I would have missed out on so much, and I'm in such a great happy place now, so I'm a lot better. He would have likely have had to deal with stuff like the Brexit debacle, possibly those horrendous trade deals with Australia and New Zealand as well. He could have possibly been heading into the same situation that the same 12,000 farmers that Stephen Reid was talking about had found themselves in: bankruptcy. And the inheritance tax could have possibly pushed him over the edge. Who knows? Also, after she triple salcoed herself into this weaponisation, she did say that the family wished to remain anonymous. Now I wonder if they gave her permission to use their tragic story in Parliament. I have a feeling that they didn't. Probably didn't even know. Mind you, she's a Tory, and they do have form on this. You see that little turd sat next to her with his fake outrage and posturing? That's Conservative MP for Keighley and Ilkley, Robbie Moore, who used the death of a child to attack Bradford Council, calling it not fit for purpose after, at the time, 11 years of Tory government underfunding and cuts. And I should know, I worked for the same council for 30 years, and every year from 2010, I was dragged into the office and told that due to cuts in government funding, that contract you signed last year, well, here's your new one, and less money, and fewer hours, and more work. And if you don't like it, you know where the fucking door is, and don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, because there will be plenty of others who will replace you. And to be honest, I hated the last 7 years of my working life, hence the mental health issues that I did have. But up until 27, that was when I knackered my back in and had to finish on incapability. So they have form on this, don't they? But when you really look under the bonnet of her weaponising of this man's demise, it's probably more to do with 14 years of Tory misrule than this inheritance tax, isn't it? Do you agree? Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you enjoy everything House of Commons and Select Committee meetings, give us a like and subscribe, and I shall just bid you farewell and take care, my friends.